Shalom, shalom. Okay, beautiful. Audio seems to be working good. Shabbat shalom to the whole full elect of the nation of Israel. I'm going to start off this lesson by giving all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachash. Double honor to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and have taught me this word in truth and sincerity. All right. Peace and mercy to the whole full elect, starting with 144,000. That's also pushing this word in truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth. I'm your fellow servant Amath of GMS Toronto, coming at you again with another live lesson. And this lesson is going to be entitled, The Things of Esau Are Searched Out. Okay? The things of Esau are searched out. And that begun, all right, as soon as the whole full elect, starting with the prophets, awoke. Okay? Going back to the late 60s, into the 70s, 80s, 90s, now in the 2000s. Right, 2007 was when YouTube came out up until now in 2026. And ever since then, all right, the prophets, all right, have been standing at the forefront of exposing this devil. Because as the elder Yeshua from GMS Dallas likes to coin, the third witness, okay? The third witness, all right, is they're exposing everything that the prophets have already exposed. And ultimately, even what the third witness is exposing, see, they're only doing half the job in terms of bringing out the message. We know that they're not set up in the spirit in terms of being prophets of the Lord, but they're identifying what's going on and not telling you a solution. See, the prophets have been identifying and giving a solution, which is repent. Repent and turn back to Yahweh Bashim El Shai. And only the elect are going to do that. But Esau has been searched out and he's being exposed, and we know exposure comes before destruction. Okay, as you see here, or in Obadiah 1, it says Edom will be humbled. Okay, so I got a clip I'm going to bring out, and then I get a couple precepts, and that'll be it. So let's open up with Obadiah 1 and 6, straight to the point, hence the title of the lesson. How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought out, right? Because this devil, okay, talking about Esau, Edom, all right, which is the so-called white man, the biblical nationality is Esau, Edom, all right? Now, this is not a color thing. Color is just an indicator. Ultimately, you have Edomites that will look like Jake and other heathens, all right? But the majority of so-called white people are Edomites. That's their biblical nationality. And at the top of that nation, all right, is Amalek. That's the top tribe of the nation of Edom. And they spent millions, billions of dollars in hiding their wicked schemes. And he has two powers, deception and the sword. Okay, and one power has been taken away from him by which is the power of deception. In terms of deceiving the prophets, you know, even these third witnesses that are going out and exposing Esau, they're still going to be ultimately deceived or die, or both. Okay, but and then his other power is the sword, and that's what he's getting ready to bring down. Is the sword. As he is bringing it down, the Lord's putting the spirit on this devil to show his horns. Okay, so let's get into this clip, and this is from no later. Come on, Salaki. Yeah, so this is from Arrows of Indignation 144. It says, "Listen up, the answer on why Babylon bombed Iran." Okay, and there's manifolds to it. Ultimately, you know, it's also about bringing about Third World War, starting with Third World War, because this is the top wicked elite, the bankers, which are Amalek. Okay, the top wicked elite, the international bankers. That's Amalek, and this is their plan. This is their plan. This has been their plan for 3 centuries, is to bring about this Third World War. All right, and colliding Iran, which is the religion, the number one religion in Iran is Islam, and colliding it with Christianity over here in the West. And we're seeing the beginning stages of that plan, which was given to them by the Most High Yahweh, ultimately. Okay, but there's manifolds to it as well. So let's listen.
We go back to 9/11, and when Wesley Clark said we're going to invade 7 countries in 5 years, what you were talking about were the countries where those central banks were not on board.
Like, I don't think the audio is working too well. Sounds like it's cutting out. Let's just.
If you go back to 9/11, and when Wesley Clark said we're going to invade 7 countries in 5 years, what you were talking about were the countries where those central banks were not on board to do programmable money. And their governance structures were not on board with essentially, because of Epstein, I'll call it the Rockefeller Rothschild model. There was an effort to say, okay, we're going to basically assert control of the central banks in those countries. That's my interpretation. And I think one of the reasons we're seeing so much tension around Iran is because Iran right now is the big leakage in the system.
Wow.
So
it's not about their nukes?
So, well, Iran's central bank counts. One of the reasons it counts is because their oil and energy is very important, including for China.
Yeah.
And that's very important in the BRIC system. What the BRIC system is trying to do is to create independent payment systems. But if you're going to come out with programmable money, with digital IDs that are interoperable globally, and programmable money that controls in each jurisdiction centrally, you can't afford leakage. And so you've got way too much leakage in the system to proceed with what they're trying to do. And Iran and the BRIC nations are a sticking point. And certainly Iran's oil, feeding China gives China greater independence.
So you think that one of the motives behind toppling all these governments was the creation of the control grid we're talking about now?
Right. So if you go back, so you had the wonderful Richard Werner on your show,
yeah.
And Richard has a book called The Princes of Vienna, which is about the sort of effort to take over the Japanese central bank. And I think what you're looking at, I think part of the state of play with both Russia and Iran is how are you going to make sure that those central banks are entirely in the system?
So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper. He said, I just got this down from upstairs from the Secretary of Defense office today. And he said, it's a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran.
And here he is telling you exactly what's going on, and it's happening now. Like, these devils are funny, man. But this is predictive programming and revelation of the method. That's also a tactic that they use, right? And it's a conditioning of the mind for the people so that when the things that they say take place, people are conditioned right to where Esau wants, tuned and conditioned right to where Esau wants them. Okay, and instead of Esau having to explain to you why, all he does is leaves you to explain it for him because you've been conditioned. Okay, hence with all these different rises of T attacks all over Babylon the Great, aka America, is to condition you for what they're getting ready to do, which will be far greater than 911. Okay, far greater than 911. Okay, but people are going to do exactly what they've been conditioned to do, all right, by Esau Edom's witchcraft and his tactics, okay, and basically be completely beguiled into taking a chip, or if they reject it, they'll die, which will make them take it because at the end of the day, the only people that actually have true hope, all right, through these dark times that are coming upon us, evil times that are coming upon us, that the hopeful elect is the elect, okay?
Classified? He said, yes, sir. I said, well, don't show it to me. And I saw him a year or so ago, and I said, you remember that? He said, sir, I didn't show you that memo. I didn't show it to you.
Sorry, what did you say his name was?
I'm not going to give you his name.
So go through the countries again.
Well, starting with Iraq, then Syria and Lebanon, then Libya, then Somalia and Sudan, and then back to Iran.
Boom. Okay, so let's get some preach. Let's go to Proverbs 16 and Proverbs 6 and 16. And it reads, These 6 things doeth the Lord Yahweh hate. Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood. And this is all the characteristics of Esau, Edom, the wicked, okay? And 2/3 of Israel, of course. And heart that devises wicked imaginations. Feet that be swift in running to mischief. Okay? A false witness that speaks lies, that speaketh lies. Okay, and is he not called the accuser of the brethren? Okay. A false witness, which also this false witness, all right, is gonna come, it's right around the corner as well, with all these different T attacks that are popping up. We're getting ready, brothers and sisters get ready to be demonized on the highest level. Okay. But this is why, while all these things are taking place, all right, we're to not only just prophesy and teach, but we're also, everything we're to do is to build up our faith and pray, that we may be able to stand in those days that are approaching right around the corner swiftly. So a false witness that speaketh lies, and he that soweth discord among brethren. Okay. And again, we use this for brethren in the truth, right? And camps and whatnot. But when you read in the NLT, it says a false witness who pours out lies, a person who sows discord in a family. Okay, so it could be nations too. And this is what this devil does. He sows discord in nations. Okay, and funds both sides. That's what these top wicked elite do. These bankers, they fund both sides and profit. Whether one side loses or the other side wins, whichever, they still profit in the end of the day. Okay. And when you look at Iran in the 70s was looking like America. In the 60s was looking like America. But then they brought that supreme leader in. Okay. They brought him in. He was their puppet, and he basically uh, uh, um, brought in what they're fighting against today. All right, which is Islamic Republic or Islamic regime, as I like to say. Okay, but who did that? Who's at the head? Who has the forefront of that, or who's behind the scenes of that? The top wicked elite, the bankers. Okay, and now it's all coming out. So your things have been searched out, Esau, Edom, and that's through the power of Yahweh Bashem El Shai. Okay, now the word here in the Hebrew, right, for families, real quick, is akha. All right, akha, and it tells you brothers, same parents. Look, it says relatives, kinship, same tribe. It says each to the other, reciprocal relationship of resemblance. So you get the point, right? He doesn't just do this among families, which he does so discord among families, but he also does it among nations. He does do it among nations. All right, and this is why they're hated of the Most High. This nation is the most hated nation of the Most High Yahweh, his only begotten Son Yahweh Shai. Okay, so let's go to the next one here. This is Micah 2:1. It says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it, because it is in the power of their hand." And who gave them the power of the earth? The Most High Yahweh. Job 9:24. Okay, so because the Lord has given them power, right? They believe that they're going to be able to. Ultimately, they believe that they're going to be able to complete the New World Order. All right. But the scriptures say that the pride of thine heart has deceived thee. Okay. Thou that dwellest in the cleft of the rocks. Okay. In the NLT, it says, "What sorrow awaits you who lie awake at night, thinking up evil plans? You rise at dawn and hurry to carry them out simply because you have the power to do so." So, Lord, these top wicked elite. I heard Apostle Rama, I think, say today or yesterday about how him and Apostle Hart talk about how they don't even know how these bankers, these top wicked elite, are going to last in the kingdom of heaven, even 2 minutes, and it's true. I don't know either, but the Lord, like Apostle Rahman was saying, the Lord's going to have to make Edomites, right, during our time of rulership. He's going to have to make them in abundance, and abundance, and abundance, because we're going to be going through them like water. That's why the Lord says, "What sorrow, right, awaits you who lie awake at night, thinking up evil plans. You rise up at dawn and hurry to carry them out, simply because you have the power to do so." Right? And verse 2, it says, "They covet fields and take them by violence." You see? And houses. This is what's going on in Iran. Okay? And this is what they've been doing. The guy, what's this guy's name that was playing in the video? Let's see. What's this guy's name? This guy, General Wesley Clark, right? General Wesley Clark. So he named all the lands that America was lined up to take out, right? And take over. And Iran was the last. So this is on point. Micah 2:2, it says, "And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage." Okay. It says, when you want a piece of land, you find a way to seize it. When you want a piece of land and they want that land, right? It's Amalek that wants that land. Okay. Using and pimping, all right, this whole Babylon the Great, aka America, to do so, right? By using America's military to do so. So Donald Trump is just being pimped out, like the rest of the presidents of America, alongside with the senators, the groupies that surround them. Okay. It says, when you want a piece of land, you find a way to seize it. When you want someone's house, you take it by fraud and violence. You cheat a man of his property, stealing his family's inheritance. Okay. Because ultimately, what is BB calling them? The BB and the rest, they call themselves the people, right? And they're affording a pseudo blessing, right? Going back to the blessing and the covenant, really, that the Most High made with Abraham in Genesis 15 and 18, talking about the land that he was going to give them. So he's using the Bible to wage war, using the Bible to wage war, and not a peep, all right, from Christians. Like Elder Yeshua talks about, where's the outcry from the Christians? Showing you that they're all hypocrites, all complete hypocrites. All right. So in chat here for verse 2, real quick, I asked it to tie to what's going on today. So it says, Micah speaks like a watchman on the wall. He looks at men with power and sees the engine that drives them, covetous for land and dominion. This verse shows a simple but brutal chain. Covet the land. First comes desires, not enough to have wealth. Powerful men want territory, resource, and control. And remember what that woman said about the leakage, right? If you want to establish, these devils want to establish a new world order, they can't have any leakage within that in terms of the countries that will be on board. Hence why they waged war, right? To take land. Okay. And so they can set up, and they do it under the guise of regime change. He's a dictator, blah, blah, blah. Right? But really, what they're doing is setting up a puppet that's going to go along with the plans of top wicked elite. Okay, that's how it's always been, and that's how it continues to go. Okay, but the Lord has the spirit on Iran, right? In terms of prophecy, and Donald Trump, aka Nero 47, is finding himself in a very, very difficult situation, right? Which he won't be able to pull his neck out of. All of them, all the top wicked elite, all the Edomites on the planet, man, they're doomed. They're done. Okay, the Edomite kingdom is over. We're watching it. So it says number 2, use violence to obtain it. Micah says they take them by violence. In the ancient world, this meant armies and conquest. In the modern world, it takes it can take in many forms, right? It says war, proxy wars, economic pressure, right? Sanctions and whatnot, and tariffs, right? Which Trump was doing all year. Okay, intelligent operations, political destabilization, right? Regime change. What he's doing in Iran as a political destabilization. Okay, different tools, same old blade. Number three, oppress the people who live there, right? And Iran is split in two right now, right? You have the progressives and you have the traditionalists. Okay, so it says the verse ends with the result. They oppress a man and his house, meaning the ordinary people, families, farmers, entire nations are the ones displaced when powerful interests fight over land. Yep. This is why you had an influx of immigrants coming over here to the north and various parts of Europe, northwest, America and Canada, and over there in different parts of Europe. Okay, and now it's become a problem. You got talks of sleeper cells all over the place. All right, and this is what happens when America goes over into somebody else's backyard and terrorizes that land. All right, just so they can have its resources, right, and for themselves. Right, those families that are affected by the war, right, and the economic pressure and political destabilization, they flee. Now, where do you think they're going to go? They're going to go to these more, um, uh, I guess, what's the word? These more prominent countries. And then the people in these countries complain about immigrants. Well, look what your country is doing. Okay. It says, um, applying the principle to global power. If you apply Micah's warning to modern geopolitics, the pattern becomes familiar. Powerful financial and political networks often push policies or conflicts that revolve around strategic land, right? Greater Israel Project, energy resources, trade routes, geopolitical control. Because remember, you have to understand why the Lord gave Abraham that plot of land. It's because it's the best plot of land on the planet Earth. If you are to create a headquarters of a global order, that's the place where you want the headquarters. Hence, when Yahushua comes back, Jerusalem is the capital of Yahushua's kingdom, which is by default the kingdom of Israel. Okay, so it says wars are rarely about noble slogans alone. Beneath the speech and flags often lies the same ancient hunger Micah describes: control of land and resources. So when conflicts erupt or or, or strategically important regions, I'll read that again, Salak. So when conflicts erupt over strategical important regions, whether oil corridors, shipping lanes, or energy-rich territories, the prophetic principle of Micah 2 and 2 fits the pattern. So it's prophecy. In other words, saying what's happening is prophecy, right? The things that America has done time and time again has been prophecy in the scriptures, right? Covet violence. Covet equals violence. Violence equals possession. Possession equals oppression. So that's what these devils, this is literally what these devils follow. They covet and they bring violence. When they bring violence, they possess, right? And when they possess, they oppress. And the ultimate oppression is going to be by the way of the MOTB, right? The mark of the beast, which is a chip, okay? An implantable chip that will go in your body. It's nothing else, okay? It says the prophet's word still echoes across centuries like thunder rolling over hills. Same men see land not as a homeland, but as a prize to be seized. And ultimately, what land is that? That these top wicked elites in the nation see as land to be seized. It's land, really, the Holy Land, which is not so holy right now because strangers devour it. Okay, so let's go back to Micah 2. I'll read 2 again and then finish off in 3, verse 3. When you, oops, it says here, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. And you heard it, right? These devils want to set up a central bank that's controlled, right? A Rothschild controlled central bank. Okay. So it makes all the sense in the world. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, against this family do I devise an evil. You see? Which family? Well, the nation of Esau, Edom, right? But in particular, the top of that, the family of Amalek, okay, which are the tiny tops. Therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, against this family do I devise an evil, from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughty, for this time is evil. Okay? NLT, what does it say? It says, but this is what the Lord says, Yahweh. I will, it says, I will reward your evil with evil, right? You won't be able to pull your neck out of the noose. You will no longer walk around proudly, for it will be a terrible time. All right? It's done. You guys are done. And it's funny because here it says what? It says, or actually, no, that's it. That's it on that. That's it on that. Let's go to the next precept. I got 2 more now we get. So this is Habakkuk 2 and 7. All right. It says, shall they not rise up suddenly? That's like it. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? Yeah. Okay. And that's these nations. When you read Revelation 17, it tells you what it tells you for a reason. Let me get that real quick. Because all these nations eventually are going to turn on America. That's the point. Because America is making life hard for everybody. The whole world, all right, is in disarray and oppressed because of America, the whore that sitteth upon many waters. That's what the scriptures say, right? So let's jump down Revelation 17 and yeah, so I'll start at 15. It says Revelation 17 to 15. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, right, which is NATO and EU, these shall hate the whore. The whore is America, aka Babylon the Great, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. And that's the height of Third World War, right? Which is thermonuclear missiles being shot out, and to be specific, 200,000 of them. My goodness, America's going to be one huge lake of fire, man. Let's look up this word sit. Yeah, when you sit on something, you know, if you sit on somebody, right, you put them in a difficult position, right? You're basically applying pressure, which depending on the context, you're applying. That's like bringing about oppression, okay, on people, on nations, and that's what this whore does. She oppresses the earth. There we go.
Strong's G 2521, Kathemai. Kathemai.
Let's see. It says, sit down, to sit, to be seated, have a place of occupy, to have a fixed abode, dwell. Yeah. Figuratively, to remain, reside, sit down. Yeah, well, you get my point though. America brings the pressure, which is oppression really, upon the whole earth and all the people in it. This is why these nations, as prophecy dictates, they're going to turn on America, all right? And evidently destroy America by thermonuclear fire, missiles. That's why Habakkuk 2:7 says, "What shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them, a spoil," right? Yeah, NLT says suddenly your debtors, right? Because this is also going back into the point of a central bank, all right, in Iran that's not run by the Rothschilds, right? So there's certain that's a leakage to the top wicked elite. They need everybody to be in debt to them to be under their control. So it says suddenly your debtors will take action. They will turn on you and take all you have while you stand trembling and helpless. You see, that's what's going to come for America. Okay. Verse 8, it says, because thou hast spoiled many nations, because thou hast spoiled many nations, right? Through what? Deception and the sword. All the remnant of the people shall spoil thee because of men's blood, violence, right? And for the violence, you see, of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. NLT says, because you have plundered many nations, now all the survivors will plunder you. This is why you had an influx of immigrants, migrants coming into the borders of America, Canada, and other various parts of Europe. And you have talks, right? Constant talks of sleeper cells, and the constant events of T attacks. Okay. Why? Because these nations the Lord's getting ready to destroy America, and these nations are getting ready to plunder it. Okay. It says, will plunder you. You committed murder throughout the countryside and filled the towns with violence. Okay. So, yeah, this place is through, man. Last verse here, or last precept. This is Proverbs 4 and 16. You read down to 27. All right, so Proverbs chapter 4, verse 16, it reads, for they sleep not except they have done mischief, right? The top wicked elite, all right, and all their stooges that help them. And their sleep is taken away unless they have caused some to fall, right? NLT says, for evil people can't sleep until they have done their evil deed for the day. Okay, why? Because that evil deed is a necessary step to forward their agenda. All right. It says these devils are always working, man. Just like us on the right hand side, right? We are always working, the prophets. It says they can't rest until they have caused someone to stumble. And just like us on the right hand side, you know, you go a day or two without doing a lesson, and these times I would hope you're having trouble sleeping. Okay, because so much is happening, like any day now, literally. We've been saying it for decades, but it's more real now than it has been before. Not I won't say more real, okay, because it's always been real, Salaki, but it's more evi evident, all right, than it has been before, right? Because as prophets do, they speak before a thing takes place. But now the prophecies are manifesting and becoming reality. Okay, and that's the power of prophecy, speaking things into existence. Okay, we're speaking the kingdom into existence, and synonymously by doing that, you would have to speak the destruction of Babylon the Great into existence. That's how you know these other camps are false camps, false teachers, or yeah, false Israelite camps. What I mean, okay, and what I mean by that is they're not teaching the truth. So, verse 17, for they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. Okay, but the path of the just is as the shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. You see, so the light of the just, which is the righteous, and the light being this wisdom, knowledge, understanding, all right, shineth more and more upon the elect, right? As the that perfect day is really the return of Yahushua, right? Because that's when righteousness really, really starts. You know, it started by us having this truth and speaking it, all right? But when Yahushua comes and redeems his hopeful elect, okay, as the scriptures say, New Jerusalem coming down from heaven, now righteousness is going to be ordered and administered upon the earth, man. So that's that perfect day. So the light of the elect shineth more and more unto the perfect day. The way of the wicked is as darkness. They know not what they stumble at. It's true. Esau has no idea what he's getting himself involved in. All right, what he's getting himself into, coming up against the Most High and against his people, and setting himself up as a god above the Most High. Okay, NLT says, but the way of the wicked is like total darkness. They have no idea what they are stumbling over. Yep. Verse 20, my son, attend to my words, incline thine ears unto my sayings. Let them not depart from thy eyes. Keep them in the midst of thy heart. Right? So while all these things are happening, this is what we're to do. The sincere believers of Yahweh Shemel Shai is to constantly meditate, right, upon the scriptures, upon prophecy, and pray, right, that the Lord continue to strengthen us day in and day out and have mercy upon us, all right, in the day of his judgment. For they are life unto those that find them. And we found it. Okay, Yahweh Shemel Shai has revealed this truth to us. Okay, so this is our life. This is what's going to keep us, all right, in the day of trouble, and health to all their flesh. Which also was what does it mean to bring health to your flesh? Basically, strength. Okay, bring strength to your flesh. All right, and um, Paul spoke about that actually, real quick. Let me get that because remember, before we get the elect get these perfect bodies, we're going to be administering spiritual power in these bodies. And Yahushua said we would be doing greater than he did when he was down here in his body. Okay, not the body he has in the heavens that he'll come down with, but the body he had when he came as Yahushua, all right, 2,000 plus years ago. He said we're going to do greater than him. And everything he did wasn't even written in the book. Okay, and there's been multiple dreams had. So the Lord is gonna give strength, all right, to the bodies of the whole flock today. Because we're already worn out. The Lord's gonna give us strength. Let me see. Just looking for the precept on the spirit office. Oh, it's Matthew. My goodness. I'm supposed to go into Romans. Slovakia. Able to trying to find it. Bear with me. He did it so that it is. Yeah, that's why it's those we do. And you Slovakia. Bear with me. I have to find this. Spirit gives you life because you have been made ready. Okay. Okay. Fearful slaves, friends and children. In fact, Slock it. Bear with me. Bear with me. Okay. And always best. Okay, so you dare say, okay, I think I found it, so I'm just gonna go up here. So it says here, to back on my point. Yeah, okay. So this is Romans 8, and I'll start at 8, the points in 11. It says that's why those who are still under the control of the sinful nature can never please Yahweh, Bashim Yashai. But you, this is in the NLT, but you are not controlled by your sinful nature. You are controlled by the Spirit if you have the Spirit of Yahweh, Bashim Yashai, living in you. And remember that those who do not have the Spirit of Yahweh Shai living in them do not belong to him at all. And Yahweh Shai lives within you. So even though, yes, this is the point, the water, Yahweh Shai, and Yahweh Shai lives within you. So even though your bodies will die because of sin, the Spirit gives you life. This is why we're able to continue in the bodies that we're in right now, because it's the Spirit of Yahweh Shai flowing through us. Okay, the whole full left, because you have been made right with Yahweh, right? Yahweh Bashim Shai, through Yahweh Shai. The Spirit of Yahweh who raised Yahweh Shai from the dead lives in you. Okay, so you got to think about that. If Yahweh Shai was risen to the from the dead by the Spirit of the Most High, and Paul's saying that power is in us, it's nothing for the Lord to give your body the power to go days without feeling hungry, or the power to run without getting tired, or the power to fight, all right, without getting tired, whatever it may be. All right, spiritual powers. He's going to give that to these decrepit bodies. That's going to glorify the power of the Lord, because to give power to a dying body is a miracle. That's a miracle. It says the Spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shai, who raised, this is why this was a miracle, raised Yahweh Shai from the dead, lives in you. And just as Yahweh raised Yahweh Shai from the dead, he will give life to your mortal bodies. You see, he will give life to your mortal bodies by the same Spirit living within you. Damn. So we just got to keep holding on, man, and keep building up our faith. The Lord's going to strengthen us, man. He's going to strengthen us. So, verse 22, back in Proverbs 4 and 23, I'll read 22 again. It says, "For they are life unto those that find them, and health to all their flesh. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life." Yeah, okay. Yahushua says, "For what a man thinketh or saith or doeth, that he is," right? Roughly paraphrasing. So it says, "Put away from thee a forward mouth and perverse lips, put far from thee." Right? So don't talk shit. This is not the time to be talking shit. All right. All you, if you're scoffing and mocking, like the Lord said it, not every idle word, all right, will be taken counted of. It says, let thine eyes look right on, right? Keep our eyes single. Look right on to what? The kingdom. That's the end point of all this. These evils that are coming down the pipe. It's the kingdom. And let thine eyelids look straight before thee. Ponder the path. Okay? Really think about what's coming down the pipe. Okay? And we ought to get our house in order. Talking about you, your own house, right? The house that the Spirit resides in. Get yourself in order. We're to get ourselves in order. Ponder the path of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established. NLT, it says, mark out a straight path for your feet. Okay? It says, stay on the safe path. Yahushua already laid down the path. We just have to follow in his footsteps. Scripture say, therefore, put on the elect. Okay? Last verse, turn not to the right hand, nor to the left. Nor to the left. Remove thy foot from evil. Okay? Don't get sidetracked. NLT, don't get sidetracked. Keep your feet from following evil. All right? So that's it on that. All right, Lord willing, this was straightforward and edifying to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. All right, I'm going to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach. All right, double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders, a great millstone, who rule well and have taught me this word in truth and sincerity. Peace and mercy to the hopeful elect, starting with 144,000. That's also puts in his word and truth and sincerity across the four corners of the earth. All right, stay strong, keep praying, and shalom.